reuse content, you have to have something to base it off of. And another career killer we identified is creating content that is not authentic. So again, when we look at marketing Sherpa research, creating content creation improves lead quality and conversion rate, but it has to be authentic, right, to your brand, to your audience. And Chris, you've talked about one way of creating authentic content is looking at what your company's already doing internally, right? They're creating content every day.
Right. I have a session this afternoon. We're going to go into great detail in this, but email is the biggest wasted content resource in the entire organization, right? All of your employees are generating spectacular emails every single day, and that's single use, right? It's going out to the recipient. This is an example of a travel company. They sell package trips to travel planners. And this is just one example where they're talking about a whitewater rafting trip, and they say, what kind of cameras should I suggest my clients bring on the trip, right? Well, somebody in customer service answered this email saying, here's what we suggest about cameras on our trip. And boom, by just a simple blind CC, they're able to push that directly into their blog. So as you see the next slide, exact same content. Somebody wrote a little sentence, oh, here's a note about how to pick a camera for a whitewater rafting trip, and it becomes a spectacular blog post that can then be search optimized and tweeted and Facebooked and perhaps reused in an outbound email, and someday someone else is going to ask about a camera, and they're going to already have this great piece of content.
And this is especially helpful for B2B marketers if you're having challenges getting content out of your subject matter experts. So we all get too many email, but if you encourage all of your subject matter experts to carbon copy you on any significant answer they give to a possible customer or to a current customer, you will find a huge amount of possible content to use. Let's look at one of the absolute worst things you can do, though. Eddie, you're talking about making it authentic and real. This is a major career killer.
Yeah, so you see a number of these in tweets, Facebook, other social media, but this is, you guys remember the WikiLeaks kind of spoof that they did? This goes back a few weeks ago, but basically, member from WikiLeaks created a fake account in Twitter. I think the guy from New York Times is Bill Holton or something like that. I can't read it from here. But they spoofed it because they made it look real. Instead of an L, they put an I. And other reporters from the New York Times picked it up. We all tweet quickly, we don't look carefully, and they retweeted it. And in social media, right, I mean, a trusted source is huge. And so what happened was you had WikiLeaks creating a spoof account. Other people picked it up, were perceived as highly credible. They retweeted it. And of course, when I see something coming from a reputable reporter, I trust it, so I retweet it as well. And so make sure that you are looking at the sources of information, especially in social media, carefully before you retweet it, because I would bet lots of you in here are perceived as influential sources in Twitter. And so when you tweet, other people are going to retweet your content. Make sure that it's real in terms of the content you're retweeting.
Yeah, so that's why social media and content marketing is such a challenge, because we all have to move at the speed of real-time marketing now. But if you're working so hard to build up your brand, you've got to be so careful about what your brand says, because you don't want to be perceived as a cat in mouse clothing, right, Nichole?
I mean, though, I guess the way that I look at this is that I see a lot, and look, I am a marketer. I started as, doing marketing, traditional marketing, the whole channel. And it's interesting how when you start to look at people's content and really look at it from a genuine perspective, so much of it is still marketing speak. If you were to break that piece apart and say, would I actually be interested in what's being said? Many times there's so much marketing speak in it that it's not really interesting anymore. And so I recommend that you use a very, very human and conversational tone to anything that you're posting in social. And just to give you an example, because obviously I'm part of Social Media Explorer, we get a lot of pitches from people who want us to do this or that. We do a lot of influencer outreach campaigns. And some of these emails that you get are clearly form emails. They didn't take time to look at the actual site and see what we do. And at the same time, I just did an outreach campaign, and it was food bloggers, and so we sent these emails, and we actually take the time to talk and look at their site. And I had one where I said, I just found 3 recipes on your site that I'm going to make very soon, and immediately the blogger came back and said, which 3? Because there's no trust. They think that they automatically assume that you're trying to sell them something. Now, fortunately, I was authentic and I was honest, and I immediately sent her 3 recipes back. But when you're thinking about your content, just I always just take off the marketing hat a little bit and try to be human in it. And one of the things that also happens is that as we start, social media is the new shiny object, everybody's excited about it, we're gonna put a lot of effort into it, but eventually it's gonna become a little bit boring, and you'll start to see that you fall back into your old habits of talking about yourself, being self-promotional, everything is a link to your site. So just be cautious of that, and if you see that happening, take a step back and start thinking about how you can actually help others and share other people's content and keep it authentic and real.